For this next step, you will need a larger piece of paper. I'm just using a piece of legal size paper that measures 8.5 by 14 inches. And you will either need to have a compass, a protractor, or some type of circular object that you can trace around. I'm going to make my circle about 3 inches, so you want it to be roughly that same size. I have marked the center of my paper down here, and I am just going to take my compass, and I have it already set to a 3-inch circle size, and I am, make sure it doesn't move first, I am going to make a semicircle. On the bottom, and so then we're going to cut this part out. Now that we have the circle cut out, we're going to take our pieces that we've already attached and have the double-sided tape on the back side. We're going to lay this with one of the chipboard pieces right on the edge here, and this is where the first piece is going to lay. The last piece is going to lay on the other side, and it will be the right size. When this is not sitting on a table, this will actually fall down into there to where this will be flat. So I'm going to start by taking the double-sided tape off of the first blade. Make sure that you have the first one, because they need to be in the right order or they will not lay correctly. And I'm going to just line this up with the left edge and the bottom edge and press down. And so now it should be attached. My paper is a different color on the back side, so it'll be attached to that one side. And then take the other one, the other end. I'm gonna flip this over so it's easier. My tape is a little too big here, but that's okay. And I'm going to take the tape off, and I am going to lay this one on the right edge and the bottom edge and press down. And when this is up off of the desktop and these are fanned out, these will actually lay flat too, so that there's room for this bulk to actually be below it. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to fan these blades out, being very careful that I am not mixing up the order or the fan will not lay right and open correctly. And I'm just going to start to space these out by sight first, trying to get them to be pretty even overall. And then you can take a ruler and you can measure between them as well if you want to really try to get them to be a little bit more even. So it looks like about 2 inches between mine. And it doesn't have to be exact, but you do want it to be relatively uniform so that it will lay easier. So then what I'm going to do next, I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm just going to mark along the tops, just so that whenever I go to tape these down, if they shift and move a little bit, I'll know exactly where they need to go and I don't have to readjust them or measure them. And then you're going to take one at a time, getting the paper off. And then lining up with the mark that you just made and pressing down. And you're going to go through all of these until you have all of them pressed into the paper. Now that we have all of them on the fan together, you can see both sides. This will be the actual back side of the fan, and then this is going to be the front side where we're going to put the decorative paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil and I'm actually just going to draw a line connecting these. And then you're going to cut around that line. So now we have the base of our fan. The next thing we're going to do is select some decorative paper to cover this. From the Once Upon a Springtime DCE, I have selected the Woodland Fantasy paper. This is going to be what I'm going to cover the base of my fan with. But since I want this side to be what is showing, I'm actually going to flip this over on the back side and I'm going to lay my fan on it and trace around it. So it is going to be slightly larger than the paper, and that's okay because I'm going to put a paper ruffle around the edges. So I'm going to line this up. I'm going to save this image because I want to use these images here. If you have a different image that you want to use, you can line this up however you want on the paper, or you can use a completely different piece of paper from the collection if you would prefer a different color on your base. So I'm just going to start to line this up to where the edges are right at the edges of the fan. The edges of the paper and the fan kind of line up together. And then the corners here, like I said, will have a little bit of an overlap, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take my pencil and trace around this. And then I'm actually going to leave some extra here because this is going to fold over the edge of the fan. I'm going to do the same thing here. And then I'm just going to add little marks here so that I know general idea of where to cut that circle. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut along the outer line, and then I'll cut the inner circle out as well. Now I have my piece cut out of my paper. Again, it's going to have a slight corner cut off here, and this is going to have some of the actual strip at the top, but that's okay because it is going to be covered once we finish the fan. So when you lay this on the fan, flip it up this way so you can see, you're going to want to make sure that the top edges are lined up, but with the decorative paper just slightly over top of just slightly overlapping the background paper so that you don't see any of that. And then you're going to have this small, about a 1/4 inch strip at the bottom that we will then fold over once we're done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add tacky glue to each of these. You can also use double-sided tape here again too, and we're going to be adding glue inside each of these paper pieces here because we want to make sure that this is completely glued to the entire part of the fan so that when we fold it and open it, it will be together. Once you have the paper glued on, you want to flip it over and you want to actually add glue to the strips on the sides. I was not super careful when I placed my paper. It got a little crooked on me, so I have paper left over on this side but not this side. Just make sure that you're really careful. I had to reposition mine and it just didn't work out so well for me. So that's okay because I am going to have some stuff here, so it's not going to even see this, but if you have yours covered, it will actually be pretty, just in case you don't want to cover it all the way down to these edges. So I would encourage you to make sure that you're a little bit more careful than I was in lining up your papers whenever you put them together. So you're going to add glue to the flaps, and then you are just going to fold them over to hide those edges. Since this one is hanging over just a little bit, I'm going to trim it just slightly, since I can't really fold that one. And so now we have the base of our fan. If you want to paint your chipboard, you can do that before you do this step 2. You can add stuff to it later as well. I'm just going to leave mine plain for now. I might do something with it later. At this stage, you can leave this all one untouched piece, or if you want there to be the folds in the fan like you see traditionally, you can start to work the papers to get those folds. So we're going to start to collapse these over top of one another. So I'm just going to start to bend the paper a little bit to make it easier, just to kind of get it going, and then we will actually start to crease these. So we want to just make it a little bit easier because this paper is pretty thick. It can be kind of hard to bend the graphic 45 paper sometimes. So I'm going to start with my bottom piece in my hand, and I'm going to take the one over top of it. I'm going to try to line it up with the edge. And again, I'm going to just start to work this until they're overlapped. And I'm going to create a crease. So then whenever it's unfolded, you will see the crease there. Then I'm going to do the same thing, the next piece. And I'm going to continue around just slowly, one at a time, folding these. And now I have the pleats in my fan, so you can choose whichever look you like best. And then once you have the base of the fan, you're going to go ahead and start decorating with the different papers and embellishments. So I'm back with my finished fan. What I have done is layer lots of the fussy cut pieces throughout each of the different areas in the fan. So I have a lot of the flowers. I've tucked the little rabbits here and there. I've got some little chipboard pieces here. I took one of the stickers, I backed it onto cardstock, and I made it arched. And I stuck some flowers underneath of it to give it some more dimension. Here and there I've put some of these beautiful little fairy girls. I've got another rabbit tucked here. I've got one of the birds here. And so you'll see there's lots of dimension in this, and I've just layered it up till I liked what it looked like, and you can make yours any way that you want. I made sure that I popped these up so I can play around with them just to make sure that there's lots of dimension. I plan on hanging this on the wall of my craft room, so I want it to be dimensional. I'm not sure if you can really tell from the video, but when I turn this, hopefully you'll see some of the sparkle. On the flower petals, I have used some diamond stickles, and on the fairy wings, I have used some of a teal or aqua color stickles just to give it a little bit of extra shimmer. And then every single area where there was a center of a flower showing, I put a flat back pearl. I love to put pearls in my projects. I just think it makes it look extra pretty, and I have used a lot of them here. And then I did go ahead and paint my fan blades, and then I distressed them with some distress ink so it will match the actual papers when I distress them. And then I added some of the chipboard here, and then just some fun fibers just in green, just to give it a little bit of extra, because whenever this is on the wall, this will hang down. And then I do have the bead here that I used to tie this off, so you can see that too. So this is the fan that I created. The back side, I did put a little piece of ribbon here just so that I can place this on the wall, so whenever I hang it, I can hang it from the ribbon. So I hope you've enjoyed making this project, and whenever you finish yours, please share it on social media and make sure to tag Graphic45 so we can all see your beautiful creations. Thank you for watching and have a great day.